Hi, welcome back to Mama Paul in the Kitchen. This is a part 2 of breaking the fast. So in the first part here today, we broke the Master Cleanse fast, which we've been doing. We've been doing the Master Cleanse for the last 7 days. And we broke the fast this morning about, actually it's about 6 hours ago right now. My schedule is a little different than most people. I'm a night person. I usually work nights. I usually go to bed about 4 in the morning and I get up around noon. So I got up today and I did this show early. I wanted to get right away, do this orange juice and drink it and do it live on the air, just so you'd see actually what was going on after 7 days and when I broke the fast, just to see the kind of energy factor that was going on with me. I wasn't real weak at all. That's the main point I was going to make. So I had the orange juice this morning. I had a little big glass of orange juice, nice big, about 8 ounces of orange juice. And then about an hour, then we went and sat, and then about an hour later, we had the fruit salad, which I was going to make, but I already made it and had it. And this is like 3 hours ago right now. So I started the day with the orange juice, broke the fast. Then I had a fruit salad. There's the first time you're really putting some serious fiber into your system again. And we broke the fast with that. And like I said, that was probably about 3 o'clock this afternoon. It's about 6 o'clock now. So what my plan was to have a little vegetable snack now and maybe a little soup later on. Now I'm going to make everything here. Everything in front of me is all the food I'm going to work with for the day, and eventually I'm going to put it all together. And what I've got are, let me move over here for a second. What I've got over here are for my salad, I'm going to mix the greens, the mixed greens, the sprouts, along with a little dandelion, and radicchio somewhere around here, radicchio. And then I'm going to make we're going to use the fennel with the red pepper and the celery, and that'll make the other part of my salad. And let's go on the back of the room here. We've got I got broccolini over here, and string beans. I got string beans all set up already. Pivoted them very nicely just to cut the ends off. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these. These are sort of extra vegetables I bought. I might steam some up to have a little vegetables. But the main thing I'm going to make my Swiss chard with I'm using the lion's mane medicinal mushrooms. It's a dish I've been making a few times on the air here, where I mix the mushrooms with the Swiss chard, little pine nuts, crack in some turmeric, black pepper, bada bing, is delicious. So we're going to make that. And in fact, let me turn the water on right now, and I'll start to bring the water to a boil. So I'll get the water to a boil. We're going to parboil the Swiss chard. We're going to saute the mushrooms. And let's go back to the center. And then I'm going to make a little soup. So I'm sort of doing a lot of cooking here for a few days. I'm going to make basically a vegetable soup, and I may turn it into a miso soup by adding miso to it. The wife isn't crazy about it, so I might just leave the miso for the end and have it as a vegetable broth. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to use, I thought I had some vegetable broth powder in the house, and I don't. Apparently it got used a while ago. So I'm going to use some arame, some seaweed that I have in the house. If you're looking to make a vegetable soup, seaweed is always a good base to make it with. It's full of nutrients, and there's a lot of minerals in it, and it adds a lot of salty kind of flavor. Now, when I'm making the soup, I'm going to start off by sauteing the onion in the pan that we're going to cook the soup in, and then I'm going to add the carrot to it and the celery, and then I'm going to add the water and cook it. Now, as far as the seaweed goes, I'm going to do the seaweed separately because I'm not sure how strong it's going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the seaweed actually right now. And I'm going to take the whole pack, which was about half of what was in here originally. Like I said, this is wakame. So I'm going to paste this. I'm going to put a couple of cups of water in here and let this simmer on the stove for a while. And that'll be essentially what I might do also is I could take, in fact, I probably will. I'll take, there'll be a little bit of excess from the fennel, from the pepper, from the celery. I'll throw that in there, and I'll make more of a broth out of it. But I'm doing it in a small quantity, which I will then add to the soup where I saute the vegetables into. I hope that wasn't confusing. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the mushrooms going Get ready to get the mushrooms going. I think I might have mentioned it a few weeks ago. These are lion's mane mushrooms, and these are really delicious. I was shocked at how good they were. Far West fungi from Moss Landing. That's down by Half Moon Bay on the coast here. So I'm going to saute these, and then we're going to parboil this. So I have a frying pan. I have a new frying pan I bought, and it's a Ivaco cast frying pan, a little pricey, about $70. This is a 9.5 inch, and this stuff is incredible. It's a ceramic art finish. This stuff doesn't bleed any toxic anythings. It's really good, and it's a superior quality and does not leach. A lot of these non-stick pans have strange chemicals in them that leach out. This is all ceramic. The brand is Ivaco cast. It's sensational. I just love, and it's really an interesting pan. If you can see it, it's a little bit higher on this side. And I thought when I put it on the stove, I thought the pan was off-centered. And what it is, it's got a higher lip here. So when you're flipping food, it flips easier. That's it. Okay, so in fact, why don't we just use that today to try the mushroom dish in. I was not going to use it because it's a little bit smaller than the kind of pan I like to normally use. So I may have to get a second one. So, oh, this is the softest, spongiest mushroom I have ever in my life encountered. Unbelievable. So we're just going to dice this up a little bit here. And put it in the frying pan with some butter. Lion's mane mushroom. Who would have known? I'm not going to double check the medicinal benefits of lion's mane. It definitely falls in there with good for the heart, good for energy, good for digestion. And I don't have the exact specificity, which is why what I like to do is I like to mix up these mushrooms. All these different medicinal mushrooms are specifically good for, each specific mushroom is good for a specific kind of ailment. But in general, if you just mix these things up in general together, you'll find your overall reaction is positive. Now, I don't really need any oil in this pan, and I normally wouldn't even have put it in, but I do like to add butter when I'm cooking mushrooms. And get the flame on here, and all right, so I got the flame on in the front here for the mushrooms is low. I had a high flame in the back, and we're steeping the seaweed over here, the wakame. So put this mushroom in. Mushrooms really cook down a lot when you cook with them. Because this one, I'm interested to see how much this cooks down because it's extremely light. It feels like it's really spongy, light. What a tasty little devil. Wow. Okay. So we're going to let this saute for a little bit here while the water here is coming to a boil. It's almost there. Steeping over here. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to parboil the Swiss chard in the water here. Then I'm going to let it cool down a little bit while the mushroom is sauteing. And while that's going on, I'm going to start to make the soup. And the soup will be back here. We're going to do it in an onion, carrot, celery, and then I'm going to add some cayenne pepper, a little. I keep cayenne pepper in the house. Let's see if we can get them on the screen over here. No. Well, I'll go in front of you 1 second, just to show you what I keep in the house all the time. About once a year these come out, and I'll have a whole bundle of cayenne pepper, probably about, I don't know, $10, $12. And they're just always pretty in the kitchen, I think. They're pretty in the kitchen. I keep them hanging up on the side over there. And if you need a pepper, you got one. If I'm going to use the cayenne pepper, I will generally use the skin part of it, and the seeds I will just sort of roll out of it. And pretty much most of the seeds will come out right through that little bottom hole. So when you go to the, when you're in your restaurant and they bring you your food and you want to get a little spicier and people ask for some hot pepper flakes, that's what it is. Those are the hot pepper flakes they're getting. Come right out of the seed there, okay? I'm going to crush this up later on in the soup with probably a little ginger, and I'm going to use fresh garlic. I bought this fresh garlic a couple of weeks ago, and it looks like, they look like scallions, but it's fresh garlic. It comes out in the beginning of the springtime. So we'll put some fresh garlic, some ginger, cayenne pepper in with the onion combination. Okay, so the mushrooms are starting to saute up nicely. Turn the flame down. You see what I mean by the pot here? With this bigger lip, it holds the food better when you flip it. It's quite interesting. A neat innovation, to say the least. Okay, so let's get the Swiss chard in here, and press it all down. You really just need to put it in boiling water for not long. Basically cover it in boiling water. It's done. That's it. Okay, so I'm going to just let this cool here. Excuse me. I'm going to let that, cool off down there. This was just tap water that I used. So I'm going to pour that off. I'm going to put the pan back on the stove. I'm going to cut the onion up and add it to the frying pan. And that'll be the start of the soup. So, we have a nice organic onion here. It's a nice big, really big one. And what I'll do is I'll keep track of some of the excess, the throwaway from the vegetable cuttings here. I'll put them in a little bowl. I'm going to add them to the wakame that's cooking over there as a stock for the soup, a stock. So that's the word I'm looking for, stock for the soup. Cut in half again. Nice little slices. I sharpened the knives before we started the show today. I didn't want to spend a lot of time doing that on the air. I've been doing that quite a bit. And I've gotten good at sharpening the knife. And this knife actually feels 100% better than it did this morning when I first cut the, I don't know if you noticed, when I cut the oranges with it, it was a little bit of a push on it to do the oranges. Okay, so let's get a little oil in the back here. We got the heat on. Oops, heat went off. Flame went off. There we go. And we'll start with the onion in there. The saute pan back there is also fairly new, and it's all clad. You've seen them advertised on television, all clad, and it's a solid made. It's really solidly made. It's a good pot. It's almost a little bit too heavy. I was used to a lighter hand. This handle is extremely heavy, but the pot itself is really solid. It's nice clad bottom, and it's not going to buckle, that's for sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to saute the onion, and then we're going to add some carrot, celery. We'll basically saute the basic. These are the three basic making a soup kind of vegetables: onions, carrots, and celery. And then you spice it up. Basic miso soup, you just start to add a couple of tablespoons of miso to it. Maybe throw some scallions on the top of it. A lot of people put tofu in the miso soup, which is okay. But if you're going to add tofu to a miso soup, you want to not put too much in. A nice little bowl of soup, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 little pieces of tofu on top. Not a ton of it. The local health food store, for some reason lately, they've been making a miso soup, and there's more tofu in it than there is miso. And it's turned into tofu soup. And it's, what's the word, disgusting. Okay, so, we got the onion sauteing nicely. The mushroom is just about done. Let's put a little on there. So we're going to put the carrot in next. Get rid of both ends. Actually, we could wash them down a little bit. I wash, when I made the fruit salad this morning, I washed grapes. Grapes I wash a lot. I take the grapes, I take them off the stem, and then I let them soak in water and rinse them out really good. They spray the grapes, and it's not great. So I wash them more carefully than other things. The packages of blueberries and berries, I generally don't wash. I generally go with them the way they are. The carrot, the only reason I sort of went for the carrot right now, it looked a little bit grungy. Okay, we've got 1 carrot, and this was a cute one, little baby coming up. A little baby coming up on the carrot. So I thought maybe, I wasn't sure. I don't usually eat a lot of carrots. I used to eat a lot more. And for some reason, I don't eat a tremendous amount. Okay. The onion is starting to, what you want to do is you want to coat it, you want to get a little oil to coat the onions a little bit, and then we're going to add a little bit of the carrot. We want to get the oil coating it. Sort of holds in the flavors when you're cooking nicely. With the oil on it. So, onions, carrot, and we'll add a little celery. Now I'm going to use celery in my salad later also, so I'm not too sure exactly how much. I have 3 stalks here altogether. I tell you what, we'll use 1 full stalk, and we'll save that for my salads. Okay, so we're almost done with this, and then we can move on to finishing off the mushroom Swiss chard dish. Over here, a little more lettuce. Let's add a little bit more cooking oil here. This is my cooking oil, my combination of sesame and coconut. Sesame coconut combination. So I'm going to let this just sort of simmer in the oily juices for a minute here while I finish off the Swiss mushroom. And okay, so are we, yeah, you can simmer. Okay, so I like to wring it out. I like to wring out the green vegetable. The combination, it seems to work pretty well. It doesn't have to be Swiss chard. It could be kale, it could be collard greens. Could actually be romaine lettuce even. You'd be surprised. A romaine lettuce cooks up quite interestingly. I used to work with a cook years ago. He would, we got a hit of romaine lettuce. When you want to make a Caesar salad, you want to use the white ends of the romaine. So he would take off the outer leaf and then cut through and get rid of that nice white part of the romaine lettuce, the real crunchy part. And he would take all the green leafy stuff, and basically he would cook it up as Swiss chard. And nobody ever complained or noted the difference or said anything about it. He said it was Swiss chard, it was Swiss chard. It's amazing what the mental powers can do. I worked with another waiter once, and people would ask for a better wine, and he would come back and pretty much he would make the presentation of it so exaggerated that he could have given them dogs and they would have liked it. And he would frequently do this kind of thing, and he would basically give them the same wine that he gave them the first place that they didn't like, and then they would say they liked it so much because he did it so well. The power of thinking. And with all of this food that I'm making today, you can see I've been on a fast for 7 days, and I haven't eaten anything, so I was sort of jonesing for a lot of different food, so I thought I'd just put it together for the week. Now what I'm not putting together here are croissants. I got no ham and cheese going. I've got no pork chop happening. There are no noodles happening here. So there's no noodles, there's no rice. The biggest pleasure food I'm going to have for the day is going to turn out to be potato. I'm going to take these potatoes, I'm going to bake them up fresh. This is a couple of weeks old. I'm going to saturate my hands with some olive oil, put some olive oil over the potatoes, a little salt on the potatoes, and bake them in the oven. And we'll have those later. And I may have some either broccolini or string beans, I'm not sure. Okay, so Swiss chard is in. Let's bring it over here and let's give it a stir. I'm going to mix this up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the turmeric to this now. That's the key. I have two graters in the house. One I use for ginger and other things, and one I use just for turmeric. And the reason is, if you'll look at it, the turmeric is going to stain this thing. The orange color just doesn't stop. So, let's just grate the fresh turmeric into here. That one little nubby piece is what I use. I don't measure. I hardly measure. I measure very little when I'm cooking. The most measurement I've done was for the last week here with this lemonade diet, because I was measuring exactly the amount of lemon concentrate that I added to the water, etc. Okay, we got this, that. Get the little pine nuts. And last but not least, cracked pepper. The turmeric needs black pepper to activate all the nutraceuticals that are in it. So you want to always have a nice crack of cracked pepper. Okay, so looking good, looking good. So there we are. Now we're going to mix this up a little bit more. I'm just going to let this cook on the oven for a little bit. Mostly I want to get the turmeric, so that I'm going to use my hands here. It's a little bit warm, but the way I grated it just now, the turmeric was in clumps, and you don't want that. You want the turmeric mixed in nicely. Okay, that's better. There we go. So that's basically what the dish looks like right now. I'm going to leave it in the pan. I'm going to leave it off the stove, and I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to go back to the soup now, just the soup. Alright, so we got the soup going here, and there's the carrots, onion, celery in there. So we have a little bit of oil we put in, so we haven't burnt anything or anything like that. And everything's getting slightly sauteed, so you can see the onions are starting to get a little bit translucent. So they'll get more and more translucent as they cook along. The onions get sweeter and sweeter, the carrots get sweeter. Yummy, delicious. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this. I'm going to cover the veggies with water right now. Raise the temp, the flame a little bit. So meanwhile, I still have this, which is the stock. We're going to be adding to that. So let's just throw all this in. Let's just throw this in. Okay, now we'll cover this with water. Okay, so there we go. So I'm just going to let the stock water cook for a while. I'm going to let the basic vegetable dish cook for a little while, leaving the mushrooms in the back. And I'm going to put my salad together. I'll put these salads together. Now this is a salad that I make every week. And where are we? Okay, so we don't need any more of the pepper. And I'm going to make the salad. I'm going to use a mixture of, this is the spinach with the 50-50 spinach arugula. So we'll take about half of that. We'll take half the sunflower seeds. And we're going to add a little bit of the dandelion. This is the real bitter. This is the bitter baby. And this is the guy that really puts some snap into your salad over here. Now, you don't want to put too much of this in. That's more than enough. I like the bitter. My wife doesn't like the bitter so much. When I've made this, she usually doesn't eat this, but every so often she jumps in on the green part of the salad. And the last time she was querying, wondering if there was anything in there that was too bitter. And obviously there was. And this is what it was, the dandelion. All right, there we go. And the little radicchio, purple. I love the color of it. It just adds a nice little color. It's not a real strong vegetable taste-wise, though. There you go. It's got a nice little crunch to it. Tiny bit bitter. Compared to the dandelion, it's practically sweet. Okay. And that's it for the greens. Seems like I should have one more green in there, and I don't. Okay, there were two. Two here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like to do things in fives when it comes to food. Okay, I'm just going to mix this up by hand like so. And put it in one of my nylon vegetable bags. You know, when you work with the bags like this, it's really cool. Just make it like a glove. You know, if you're in the store and you're taking produce out of the produce case, turn the bag into a glove. And this way you can get 90% of it in one handful. All right, so, okay, we did the greens, pretty much. And the last part of the deal here, for me, is the pepper, celery, and fennel. And those are what I call my hard vegetables. So these are the greens. These are the hards. And the last thing, right. All right, we got a little bit more of some composting material here for over here. Let's do the easiest one first. Let's get the celery out of the way first then. These are the two knives. I'm alternating between the two knives, between my vegetable knife and my little paring knife here. This is a really good German knife with an excellently sharp blade. And you can use it as a vegetable knife. I don't think it's as convenient, to tell you the truth. I think the flatter blade of the one is better. Boom. Throw this in. I'll have more of my stock than I have in the soup at the rate we're going here. Okay. Get rid of the core. And same thing here. Get rid of the core on the fennel. That's a little bit black mark there. And we'll dice this guy up. And then we'll do the fennel. Oh, the licoricey aroma is coming off the fennel as I cut them. Can almost knock you out right now. This is a really organic, fairly recently harvested, if I'm not mistaken, according to my source at the produce counter the other day. The fennel, odd vegetable fennel, something I never would have eaten at all in my life prior to finding out intellectually that it was good for me. And having done that, I sort of forced myself to start eating it, and at the end of the day, I like it quite a bit, and it goes really well with everything I eat. But in the beginning, I didn't like it at all, and a couple of times that's happened to me in my life, where there were things that I didn't like, didn't want to do, and then you start doing them, and before you know it, you take them on, and they become more you than you. Okay, so just about done here. We've done a full half hour, and that's more than enough for anybody to take. I thought this was going to be a shorter show here, but I guess it was a bit much. Doing the salad and the soup. So when I make the salad dish, I'm not going to plate the whole thing right now. It's been going on for too long. You've seen me do this before. So this is the vegetable mixture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the salad greens down with the vegetable mixture on top of it, and then sprinkle my special little herbal concoction over that. We're going to do all that. Leave these over here. Finish off the end of the soup. And I'm going to turn this down. I'm going to leave it right there for the end of the show here. I think we did enough. I don't need to plate it. So that was it. So we've been on a 7-day fast. We broke the fast with a little orange juice. I had a fruit salad after that. I'm going to sit down and have a little meal right now. This is going to be what? 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 3. It's going to be 4 hours after my original, the fruit salad this morning, when we'll actually sit down, and I'll have the mushrooms with the green combination, and I'm going to bake a couple potatoes, and that's going to be it. Now the mushrooms, baked potatoes, and a little bit of a salad. Later on tonight, around 10 o'clock, probably have a bowl of soup, and that'll be it for the day. And then tomorrow, it's going to be definitely a fried egg and ham croissant sandwich. Okay, peace, patience, persistence, and I'll see you soon.